Hi, good morning. We're live. Black women friends. So today we're going to talk about going narcissist. No, we're not talking about going narcissistic. Friends. Let me slow it down. We're talking about going no contact for Black women with narcissistic mothers, especially during the holidays. We're going to talk a little bit, I think, about the healing of generational trauma that can come through this. And I think we're probably going to talk about chosen family, especially during the holiday season. My special guest has been a guest before. I'm going to introduce her in just a second. I'm glad that she's here with us again. But first, let me introduce myself. My name is Stephanie Perry. I'm a house sitter and the creator of House Sitter School and the co-creator of Exodus Summit. This YouTube channel is for Black women interested in leaving the country, interested in bopping around the world, interested in moving abroad, interested in doing things with ease, right? And yeah, for peace of mind, for their peace of mind. If these things are interesting to you at all, go ahead and subscribe. Thank you. And now let me introduce you to Dani Ellison. So Dani was a guest on this channel. It's been almost 5 years. Did you know that, Dani?
Crazy.
It was very early 2021. So we're going up on 5 years since the first time we talked on my YouTube channel. And since the first time that I realized that this was a shared story among so many Black women. Welcome, Dani.
Thank you for having me. I am so excited to be here again. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. Introduce yourself. Do a better job than I did.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dani Ellison. I'm a reparenting coach and an Acudetox Specialist for Black women. I help them to reparent their inner child and heal their mother wound after going no contact with a narcissistic mother. It is my absolute pleasure and honor to be a part of this conversation, especially for Black women. This is something that is just right at the core of what we need to be discussing now as a community, as we evolve as a people. And there is just so much to unpack. So I'm really looking forward to talking through this morning. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Tell us where you are in the world and why you're there.
So right now I am in Covington, Washington, on an extended house sit. I've been here since before Thanksgiving. I'll be here through New Year's. And the reason that I'm house sitting is because sadly, recently, my baby, my pit bull Dutch, passed away. And I had to get out of my apartment, frankly. It happened at home. And he was my only connection to a normal routine, being grounded in one place. And so I just needed to kind of throw some stuff in the bag and get out the house to regroup, figure out what my next step is, and, adjust to not having my emotional support animal. So that is what prompted me to jump into house sitting now. I knew that I would at some point. I just didn't know when. And of course, house sitting with my pit bull was a challenge. So now that I'm able to just, be solo, this has been exactly what the doctor ordered. This is such a nice environment. The weather has been perfect for me. It's been raining pretty much every day, and I've stayed in the house. So I've really enjoyed it so far.
Okay. I'm glad that house sitting could do that for you, right? House sitting could give you an opportunity to be in a new environment, do some grieving and some healing and some, spend some time in a new space. I'm glad that house sitting can do that for you. We might talk a little bit about house sitting today as well. Okay. We might talk about that also.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is my first question. Hello. Really? Okay. Is this the conversation we're having right just before Christmas?
Yeah.
You really running my chicken salad? Is this a time? I guess my question is this the right time even to have this conversation? Is Christmas or the holidays or the new year, is this too hard of a time to deal with this mentally, emotionally? If you're a Black woman who is thinking about the what action you're going to take in response to narcissistic abuse or family toxicity, is this the wrong time to start taking action?
Now's the perfect time. I have over the years grown to really appreciate this time of year, as difficult as it can be, because it brings us face to face with the truth of our family dynamic. For so many of us, the truth is we do not want to be around our family during the holidays. And it's not because we don't love them, it's because our family system is corrupted with toxic abuse. It's because if we go home, we're going to have to shut down, we're going to have to gray rock, we're going to have to go along to get along, overlook, hurtful comments, subtle manipulation, a dysregulated nervous system, and we're not really enjoying ourselves. We're bracing for impact the entire time, and that is just no way to spend your time, no matter what's going on. I think for quite a long time, as a human race, we have been more focused on the appearance, the facade of a relationship, rather than the substance of that relationship.
Okay.
And we're evolving. And so the generation that is not going home for the holidays, that is setting boundaries with their parents, with their family systems, who are going no contact, who are removing themselves from that dynamic, are doing it to protect their mental health. And they're not wrong for that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I find this is a really good time because it surfaces the trauma that's already beneath the surface. And it gives us the push that we need sometimes to set the boundaries we need to set so we can have a healthier, happier, more peaceful new year.
Okay. All right. So that's a why. That's a reason why today, why this conversation, why today. Listen, seriously, the other reason is that this is just a conversation that's been buzzing around Black woman world, right? I feel like I'm a person who listens to what's happening in Black woman world. And then I'll be like, well, I want to talk about that. Let's talk about that here on this YouTube channel. There are a couple of different things that happened that made me want to talk to you this week, Dani. One was the Oprah Winfrey video. Oprah's YouTube channel put up a video called Oprah Explores the Rising Trend of Going No Contact with Your Family. And lots of Black women and just people in general on the internet were talking about that particular video, right? And also, talking about the reverse, talking about the idea of choosing your family and choosing chosen family, also meaning some people, you'll lift them out of the family. That murder of the Reiner family by the son also made me want to think about this. For some people, no contact is the answer. And so that's why this weekend, also some of my homegirls who have either estranged or strained family relationships, this is a time of the year when they start to, feel it the most.
Yeah.
So that's why we're talking about it now.
Well, I'm so grateful to you for making this space because there are so many things that need to be said. And I just want to be quite honest. I watched that video a couple times.
Okay.
I walked away feeling manipulated, invalidated, and mind tricked. Like I just got flashed by the Men in Black and reprogrammed or something.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And so I took some notes. We can break that down. But also you mentioned the Reiner family, the Menendez brothers come to mind also.
Yeah.
And so it is important that we mention there's a spectrum of abusive family dynamics. Some are more extreme than others, but it doesn't make the abuse less abusive. It's still insidious. It's still intentional. Unless it's pathological, in which case it still is not a reason to stay in a relationship with an abuser who happens to be your parent. Yes.
Okay. Now, there is, I guess we would all agree, there's no reason to stay in a relationship with an abuser. So one of the first questions that I wrote down was, what in my world, I often hear Black women say my mother was a narcissist, but they don't ever, I hardly ever hear women describe it as narcissistic abuse.
Yeah.
Is there such a thing as having a narcissistic parent, but not suffering abuse from that person?
No.
Okay.
No. No, if your parent, they may not be a full-blown clinical narcissist.
Okay.
if they're on the spectrum of narcissism, which I have to say, as Black women, the chances that your mother is not significantly on that spectrum are very low because of what we come from as a people.
Okay.
Most narcissists are born out of traumatic injury in early childhood that they have no opportunity to resolve. So
Uh,
they are housing a fractured identity, and they're not able to engage with unconditional love. They need systems of control and validation because they're living from their ego, always trying to satiate the need that their ego has for love and validation because of that unresolved childhood trauma. So we're just a hop, skip, and a jump away from the world that rationalized the transatlantic slave trade.
yeah.
There is trauma, there's abuse that's in our blood. We have these generational curses, which I heard was not addressed at all in that conversation,
Right.
my podcast. There are generational curses, there's trauma, there's a generational pattern to trauma that we're working through. And so to stay in that relationship with a narcissistic parent, you will experience the fallout of that narcissism. They're not able to communicate with you in a way that's founded on unconditional love. There's no genuine trust, right? There's no like vulnerability that comes with the authenticity of a relationship that's not carefully manipulated. I think many of us, what I see in the women that I work with, there may be, 80 women who identify that they have an abusive mother who is narcissistic. 10 to 20% of those women go no contact.
Okay.
Because of the abuse. And I think the reason for that is we either have that overtly abusive parent who is verbally attacking us, who may be physically attacking us, who openly abuses us, humiliates us in front of people from time to time. And that abuse is easy to recognize and point to. But more of us have a covertly abusive narcissistic parent who uses unseen means to harm their children. And that's harder to point to as an objective bystander. But also as the adult child, it's so much harder to validate for yourself that you are being abused, that the abuse is habitual and intentional, is not going to stop. It is a symptom of mental illness, and that is someone that you need to cut out of your life.
So can you explain to me the overt versus covert? What would that look like?
Yeah. So the example that comes to mind when we talk about an overtly narcissistic abuser is Precious.
Okay.
Monique's role in that movie.
Uh-huh.
That's classic overt narcissism. The abuse is right on the surface. There are going to be many instances that you can recall where your parent was harming you intentionally, out loud and in the open.
Okay.
And while that hurts a lot more in some way, on the back end, those women have a much easier time overcoming the guilt, the shame, the withdrawals that come, the grief that comes after going no contact with the mother. Because once we get into that exposure therapy and we start really calling a thing, we refer back to those traumatic experiences, they can see clearly that they were abused.
Okay. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But the women who have a mother who was only emotionally abusive, financially abusive, emotionally absent, intentionally neglectful, those women have a harder time because once they go no contact, yes, they experience the grief and the shame, the guilt and the fear, the confusion, but also when they start to feel better, it's kind of like, oh, wait a minute. I feel better now. I miss my mom. I should just be able to go back around her and we have a happy, loving relationship because I feel better now. Was it really abuse? Maybe I was just being dramatic. Maybe I'm being selfish and entitled and spoiled and immature, and we just need to talk about it. Maybe it's not that bad. And then they go back for more, and the cycle deepens.
Okay. Okay, so you called out a few different types of abuse that I feel like are relatively new to us in terms of calling it the thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
You talked about financial abuse, and I don't remember hearing those terms until like 10 years ago, right? Until the internet.
Mm-hmm.
What does financial abuse look like to women? What does that sometimes in mother-daughter relationships, what does
Yeah.
that look like?
It can manifest a few different ways. It can look like sabotage in early childhood and up through development, where your parent intentionally does not teach you about money,
Mm,
doesn't teach you how to manage your money, how to get money, the value of a dollar, how to think about money, how to save, does not mentally prepare you for becoming a financially independent adult.
okay.
They may make rules that you're not allowed to work, you're not allowed to earn money. They also may not support like giving you an allowance so that you can learn to handle money. They intentionally keep you ignorant
Okay.
of how to be financially competent. So when you become an adult, you're just like, okay, now what?
Mhm.
So navigating things like, credit and student loans and having your own place, signing a lease, those sort of things just kind of overwhelm you. And they do that in the hopes that you will be dependent upon them and have no real recourse for leaving them behind. It's one way that they keep you from going no contact and
Oh,
make you a prisoner.
okay. We can see that clearly when we think about spouses. If a woman is married to a man and in that relationship she's clueless about anything regarding money, we can see how that is a term of financial abuse. But we don't often hear that talked about in parent-child relationships,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Having okay. And then other times other times I think it can be, I'm the mother, you got to take care of me. All
Yeah.
of I should be the first financial priority in your life. Is that also what we would call financial abuse?
Yes, that's huge for Black women. That is huge for Black women. Um, because the dynamic for so many of us is we're able to have access to better opportunities, have
Yeah.
more education, make more money because of the sacrifices that our mothers and our grandmothers made.
Mhm.
And so now that, you've arrived, so to speak, there's this expectation that you owe me. So you shouldn't be able to save money. You shouldn't be able to go on a vacation. You shouldn't be able to spoil your children, let alone yourself. All of that extra money should be coming to me. And if not, I'm going to guilt trip you. I'm going to make you out to be a bad daughter, a bad child. I'm going to create false financial emergencies for you to handle so you can feel the stress,
Mm,
care of your aging parent, and you don't get to go enjoy your money. That is a second way that it manifests. I think another one that is less common
okay.
um, within the circles that Black women move in, when there's a lot of wealth involved, the parent will kind of hang that inheritance over the child's head,
Mhm.
put them through unspeakable emotional challenges, be an outright villain to them because
Yeah.
there's so much money at stake. What are you going to do? Leave, disown me? I'm going to threaten you, take you out the will every chance that I get.
Mhm.
Don't comply. You don't please me. You make me feel slighted or disrespected or disobeyed, then there will be financial consequences.
Mhm.
And so that happens with the inheritance, but also sometimes mom and dad is bankrolling their entire lifestyle, their rent, they're spending 5 figures a month and they don't have it, but their parents encourage them to live this lifestyle knowing that their child cannot afford it on their own.
That's right. And that reminds me of the one of the people in the Oprah video. So inside of the video, it was like, your friends, I know this is not going to be a movie review of that conversation, but it did spark why we're here today. So I do want to, we are going to mention it. And then I want to hear, Dani, I want to hear what your takeaways were from the video and why you felt so like gaslit from that video.
Yeah.
The one of the men in the video who has no contact with his parents seem to have money. They seem to have had means. And he said everything was very performance oriented. And if he didn't meet their expectations, they let him know. So he got engaged to a woman that they didn't approve of. She seemed like a perfectly delightful young lady. Got engaged to her, and the parents assembled his friends to try to sabotage the engagement. When she got pregnant, they were so upset and angry that he was off of their plan, right? We had this plan for you. This man was an adult. The man is 30 years old, okay? But they were so upset that they could not financially control him anymore, that they were outright like angry at the married couple, for having a child. And so, of course, he's no contact with those people. That made me think of that. The idea of I can control you because I have money, or I can control you because I don't have money, are both ways that we see people be ways that we see financial abuse between parent and child.
Definitely. Regardless of the money, the narcissistic parent sees their child as an extension of themselves.
Okay.
Their child's individual identity is a direct threat to their own, because they don't have an identity. Theirs is fractured from the traumatic abuse that they haven't, couldn't, will not process.
Okay.
Yeah. So regardless of the means involved, the narcissistic parent expects to be able to derive emotional supply from their child, and they're going to set out to get it regardless. When they don't get it, they will feel slighted. They will feel cheated out of their parental right to control and abuse you.
Okay. All right. Diamond says, my mom was always competing with me. Years ago, I had a friend whose girlfriend, right? The girlfriend and the mom didn't understand that the girlfriend was a whole different person. And so the mom was like so jealous of the daughter.
Yeah.
This is your so she was so jealous that the daughter had a boyfriend and was having a baby and was having like just a nice life. The boyfriend had a little dough. My friend, he had a little dough. Yeah. And the mom was so jealous of that thing that she did everything she could to put a stop to it.
Yeah.
Which is so because you would think a narcissist would, I don't know what a narcissist is, right? Yeah. You would think a narcissist would be like, oh, my daughter's boyfriend has money and my daughter, and but instead she was so angered by it, or so activated into her awfulness by that situation that it was really alarming.
Yeah. I think, again, there are two ends of the spectrum on that. The mom competing with the daughter is classic.
Yeah.
But I think when it comes to partnerships, you do have the parent who wars against the happiness of their child, as we have discussed, but there's also the parent, that covert narcissist, who on the surface is happy for their child, is beaming and congratulatory and says all the right things and tells all the friends about the new son-in-law who's a doctor or whatever. And they will put the aspects of their child on a pedestal that bring them esteem and approval from others, but they still punish their child for that on the back end.
Okay.
They still resent them. They're still jealous. And so they lash out, and it may not be directly about that relationship. They'll make it about something else.
Okay.
Either way, no narcissistic parent is going to be content with their child moving on into a healthy relationship that supports their well-being, because that is another party outside of this dynamic that they have no control over.
Okay.
They're worried that that person is going to liberate their child from that abusive system because they don't abuse them.
Okay. Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit about the video. So okay. So as a person who's not very well versed in these things, every family has estrangement. And what she said was like 30% of US American families have some estranged family member, right? So, or 30% of people are estranged from their family in some way, right? Yeah. Everybody's experienced that, right? But I'm not a therapist, right? I'm a house sitter. I don't. But what struck me about the conversation was that even though Oprah seemed to understand the concept. She still didn't agree with the concept of going no contact and was super judgmental of every single person who talked about no contact, even though the examples that they were giving, she hated, right? I hate that your family did this to you. I
Yeah.
hate that your son did this to you, but she still didn't seem to be like, okay, so walk away, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a mainstream media power grab. It was a narcissistic power play in real time,
Okay.
attempting to gain control over the narrative that's developing around going no contact.
Okay.
That conversation did everything but center the adult child of the narcissist who has gone no contact to protect themselves from traumatic abuse,
Uh-huh.
which is the majority of adult children who go no contact.
That's right.
There was some truth mixed in with some distraction and some pure lies. And ultimately, it resulted in a narrative that invalidates the victim of maternal narcissistic abuse, and suggests that they are spoiled, entitled, immature, impulsive, and that this is a trend, which is not. It's a movement, it's the evolution of the human race. And not to go too deep too quickly, but what's really happening is as we're evolving as a people, as we develop this increased desire for authenticity, for truth, for peace, for wholeness, for wealth, for goodness, we are coming into our generational calling of meeting God in spirit, of coming to the light as this veil is being thinned and lifted. We're no longer abiding unseen abuse.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time we were not as evolved, right? Again, we're a hop, skip, and jump away from the transatlantic slave trade.
Yeah.
We were condoning physical abuse. We didn't have the time, space, or opportunity to go within and be emotionally sensitive about what you said to me. That wasn't, we just weren't there as a people. But now that we've evolved,
Yeah.
we're becoming healthier. We're becoming more awake, and we're no longer willing to stay in relationships that really are a form of slavery because we're bonded through obligation.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. So let me write that down. You keep talking. I'm gonna write that down instead of interrupting you.
Okay. So that commentary mentioned that the adult children of narcissists are cutting out people that they don't like because they lack conflict resolution skills. That is a slap in the face.
That's right. I apologize. I laugh at things that are not necessarily funny, but funny because yes, that was the tone, I think.
That's exactly what.
And that's what the mom said. That's what the mom said. She's not a conflict. Yes.
Ooh, every word out her mouth gave me the heebie-jeebies.
Okay.
That is exactly what a narcissistic parent would say about their child who's not in the room in the face of no contact. It was all there. It was very performative. I'm a good mother. My boys say I'm a good mother, but narcissistic parents triangulate their children.
Everybody agrees I'm a good mother. Yeah.
Right. And narcissistic mothers are notorious for making that difference between their sons and their daughters. To infantilize their sons and parentify their daughters.
Okay.
So they take more of a harsh edge with their daughter, but they baby their sons so that they will be incompetent and unable to branch out and become independent adults. So they stay with her. But because the daughter, especially, she comes into puberty and beyond, becomes a threat to mom's ego, becomes a mirror that challenges her, she's much more likely to be harsh and emotionally neglectful or harmful intentionally to her daughter, expecting that she just stays and takes it because that's her mother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is not about lack of conflict resolution skills.
I appreciated Nedra Tawwab on the panel. I feel like so there were three therapists on the panel. Mm-hmm. And I appreciated Nedra Tawwab on the panel because I don't know her, but I feel like I know her from the internet. And she always is so level-headed and sensible, but on the person on your side, she's a person. Whereas the male therapist had he had a family history of no contact. And so he was there to say the whole concept of no contact, I hate it all and it's never worth it. And right. And so that made the conversation, you're right, more like propaganda or think about it. But yeah, a way for them to control the idea of why no contact is a growing thing.
Yeah.
And instead of addressing it as there were generations of parents who didn't choose to be parents.
Right.
They just became parents by default.
Right.
Parents, right, by default. And then this is Samira, right? And then didn't have the tools or the ability or the desire to be better. Yeah. And so now we're seeing the tail end of that. Samira is a single mother by choice. Hey, Samira, she's Black Women Build Wealth here on YouTube. And she says, I do think a lot of Black women became mothers because they were pressured into it, truly didn't want to. Yeah. And that transpires and that shows in how they raise their kids and then how their kids respond to them on the end, I'll say.
Definitely. We're the generation who watched our mothers, our grandmothers, our aunts grow up performing for these various oppressive systems.
Yeah.
In order to be perceived as good, worthy, valuable, they had to perform for the patriarchy. They had to perform for capitalism, right? They had to arise to this projected persona handed to them by Uncle Sam, right? You have to be a mother with some kids. You need to be hardworking. You need to be financially independent, right? You have to avoid all these stereotypes and crafted narratives to make you feel that you're not able to be true to yourself. The name of the game is ignore your inner child, push her into the back rooms of your psyche, and shut down and get it done. Right? I come from a long line of successful, hardworking Black women who retired from government jobs after 40 years, and I'm proud of that. And it's not that that is not admirable, right? There's something in that speaks to the compliment of their character. And also because I saw that, because I see how the 40-hour work week is designed to rob us of our well-being, because I see how the ideal that I have to be married with kids is a trap, is a shackle around my neck. I don't want to be enslaved. And I'm the first generation of Black woman who has the freedom, the wherewithal, the financial independence, the education, and the opportunity to center my own needs, to actually get in touch with my inner child and hear what she has to say. She's been silenced for generations of Black women.
Yeah.
And so what was expressed was, in the last decades, the role of being a parent has gone from being enough to the relationship, the content and the substance of the relationship mattering more than just that role. And the expectation is too demanding. We are selfish, entitled, and we expect too much from our parents, and they're not therapists or psychiatrists. But again, that's false narrative. All we want is basic respect, basic love, basic safety, and honesty in our relationship with our parent. We love them. Going no contact is not an attack on them. It's a protection of our basic well-being. And it's honestly a compliment to our parent, because what a compliment that you, having endured all the abuse that you lived through, all that you were handed down from the Black women who came before you, to raise a child who does not allow abusers in her life. It would be so easy for me to repeat the cycle, to give my life away to a man and some kids who don't appreciate me, who drain me of my life source, and I go to my grave never having lived to the fullest of my potential, never having really known myself. And we're just not doing that. It's already been done. And because they did that hard work, because they made those sacrifices, we get to learn from them and pivot to live differently.
Okay. All right. Healthy boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Also, I didn't say hi to you all. Hi, everyone. Good morning. All right. So let's talk about breaking the cycle.
Yeah.
So we see a lot of, and I saw the comment just a minute ago, we see a lot of talk about breaking the cycle in terms of being child free, right? Is that a valid, not valid? Is that a valid, that's my question. Is that a valid way to break the cycle? Is that really breaking the cycle, or is that just putting a pin in it?
It does break the cycle because when you choose not to have children, you make space to heal your own inner child, to become evolved within yourself, and you reach a point in your lineage where the work is done. I think a big part of this conversation and something that just needs to be said is that, for one, there are cultural and spiritual aspects of this conversation that have to be addressed.
Okay.
They were not touched in that discussion.
No.
Black women, Black people, but also Black women, we are not safe in those inclusive healing spaces.
Right.
We need to come out of them.
That's right. You know, I believe that. I believe that.
So, that might be a good look, but we don't belong in mixed race healing spaces. It's not safe for us.
That's right.
And that's because when we get into our healing bag and start unpacking that generational trauma,
it's going to always lead back to slavery, and white people don't want to talk about that.
Right. Right now, we're living in this spiritual time where the wheat and the tariffs are mingled. The light is mingled with the darkness.
Okay.
And we've been able to coexist in that ambiguity for generations, but we're moving out of that. The light is being separated from the darkness. That's why the margin between what's right and what's wrong is becoming so much wider. Spiritually and culturally, as soon as we hit that transatlantic slave trade, we have to separate. Our healing paths diverge because we have the trauma or the karma, of being the descendants of the innocent victim.
Yeah.
We're the descendant of the African slave.
That's right.
And while that is a tough bag to unpack, on the flip side of things, energetically, spiritually, we have hit the jackpot.
We're clean. We're clean.
Exactly. We're the scapegoat of humanity. That doesn't mean that we're not also sinners like every other human being. It means that collectively, within this context, we haven't done anything to deserve the way that we've been treated by people. They have the spiritual bag to unpack of being the descendants of the pale-faced colonizer.
That's right.
Of the most wicked traffickers and murderers that we have to date.
That's right.
And we are not responsible for holding space for them. We don't belong in those rooms when they're doing that work.
That's right.
We don't need to say anything. We don't need to be there. So we need to separate. That's one. But then spiritually, when we talk about breaking the cycle, what we're talking about is breaking the generational curses that were set in place when humanity fell from grace.
Okay.
So ultimately, the reason why the mainstream media even bothers to have a hand in how this narrative is perceived is because at the core of this is Jesus. It may not seem like it. It may not be completely apparent, but all of this is coming back to the question of who is Christ? What is objective truth? And who are you living for in this hour? Who is your life aligning with?
Okay. Okay. So the idea of for you, the concept of spirituality is Jesus.
This is such an interesting discussion because I know that Black women have some blockages, some of us at least, with Jesus specifically. We have to do the work of separating the pale-faced colonizer from the gospel itself.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a whole bag of church hurt and religious abuse.
Yeah.
That we have to work through. But keeping in mind, there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. We are a part of the church age that is tasked with meeting God in spirit. The first generation, the first church age, walked with God in the metaphysical, with God the Father. The one who created was also the one who manipulated the burning bush to speak, right? The fire by night, the cloud by day. He displayed himself. He related to us through nature. That was his manner, because we were with the Father. Then we transitioned into a church age that was tasked with welcoming God, with meeting him in the flesh, with receiving the Messiah in the flesh. And he demonstrated himself. He related to us through fleshly ways, the laying on of hands, right? The miracles that he worked through his own flesh. Now we are living in the generation that will welcome the church age of the Holy Spirit. In fact, let me see if I can find it. Yes, it is John chapter 4, verses 23 through 24. The hour comes and now is when the true worshiper shall worship the Father in the spirit and in truth. For the Father seeks such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So Jesus also said, and I just think it's so important because he speaks directly to this. He said that he came not to bring peace, but a sword. Specifically, he said, think not that I am come to send peace on earth. I come not to send peace, but a sword. For I am come to set a man at variance against his father, and the daughter against her mother, and the daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. And a man's foes shall be of his own household. He that loves the father or mother more than me is not worthy of me. And he that loves the son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. And he that takes not his cross and follows after me is not worthy of me. He that finds his life shall lose it, and he that loses his life for my sake shall find it. This is what Jesus spoke about.
So I think, as you may not know, my mother, an ordained minister, my grandfather, I think it's really, 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 really hard to separate the colonizer from the word. Also knowing that some of what is in the Bible, what's in the book, was just taken from other spiritualities or other practices or other cultures or other, and then used to do so much. I saw TikTok not too long ago. Somebody was like, it's funny how people took the idea of don't use God's name in vain, literally, as in don't say something, whatever, don't swear using God's name, and totally decided it's okay to wage war in the name of God and to murder and sacrifice and kill people in the name of God. Anyway, it's really hard, and I think it's almost impossible to separate Christianity or faith or that version of faith and religion from the white colonizer. I don't know, Dani. Maybe you're just more. I've also been accused of being a person who just will not let things go. And if white people and white colonizers are the face of Christianity,
no,
I don't want to deal with it.
See, that's the thing.
I don't want it. I don't want it if they right.
Because that's a lie. Pale-faced Jesus is a lie.
Yes.
Scripture, the truth that is found in Scripture was circulating the earth long before a pale-faced colonizer laid hold to it and used it for their will. What is actually happening right now is we are stepping away. That's why there's this gap. That's why the mother is stepping away from, or her daughter is stepping away from the mother, the son from the father, because we're the ones who's saying, wait a minute, actually, this entire family system is corrupt. We say that we're Christian, but we actually practice evil every day. We talk bad about people, right? We're not loving, we're nothing like Christ. That's why it's important that this church age is led by the Holy Spirit, because there's no faking the funk with the Spirit.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's not going to be the coming of the church age of the Holy Spirit is going to look nothing like the 501c3. It's going to happen outside of the worldly church,
Uh-huh.
because it will be the genuine body of Christ. And I think that's what we're seeing now, is that we're becoming less willing to associate with a half truth, with the appearance of truth. We actually want truth. We desire genuine authenticity, peace, and unconditional love. And we can't have that in our family systems because their currency is the appearance. We are on the main topic.
I know. Yes, we are. We're on a different level of the same topic. If we all can understand how the enslavement of our people has generationally led us to this point today, where we have narcissistic mothers. I'm using we in the form of I am here to speak on behalf of people who are not here to speak today, right? Or some of you are in the chat today, right? Your comments and your questions I see and I read them, right? If we can understand how we are there, it is the same topic. It is the same topic.
We got here because
we'll get back.
Generational curses, the generational trauma, the breaking of the cycle. What we're really talking about, whether we necessarily know that or we're able to identify fully with what we're talking about, the generational curse has to do with the issue of sin in the flesh. That's what this is really about.
Okay.
We are coming face to face with the fact that good is mingled with evil.
Yeah.
And we're not willing to stay in our family system that gives us control and calls it love. We actually want love. And so when we step out and say we want that, we need to heal, we need to get better, we need to treat each other better, the family resists that, because you're pulling up all sort of attachments and insecurities and deeply rooted, buried traumas, and you instead are outcasted. You're outcasted, you're mocked, you're crucified. And it is a continuation of the work that God initially started. And we're talking about the curses that are spoken about in Genesis chapter 3.
So when we talk about breaking the cycle, and we said that there are some women who are child-free by choice, and then there are other women who are saying, well, damn, I will actually want to be a parent. What is my option? If breaking the cycle if child-free is not an option for somebody, what can she do to break the cycle?
The no contact is critical.
Okay.
You have to cut off contact with that source of modeling the toxic behavior. You have to step out of the cycle with your mother so that you can create a new cycle with your child.
Okay.
And there are many women who are actively parenting their children, young children, where they're still very much walking through the development of their child and are breaking the cycle while also being a parent. And I think they have a sort of a different journey. I think their children serve as mirrors for them as they're walking through their own healing journey of how they are changing the cycle, where they have made changes and where they still need to grow, where they're still wounded.
Yeah.
But ultimately, being child-free is not the only way to break the cycle.
Because that's sometimes when things are brought to a head, especially if you're a person who was raised, or if you're a person who grew up thinking, well, I deserve this poor treatment. Mm-hmm. And then you have children and you see like, actually, no, I didn't deserve this treatment. This is a time when motherhood is often a time when you see women really address things instead of really address that idea of I didn't deserve this. I didn't deserve this. It wasn't my fault. And I don't have to continue it. I don't have to continue receiving this poor treatment.
That's right. Those women really need one-on-one support because they're trying to give something they've never had.
Yeah.
And they're left, when you go no contact, you have withdrawals regardless. There will be times when you want your mother, when you want to reach out, especially when you're faced with like a first time difficult situation, maybe, and that could just be like a bad day at work or someone close to you passes away. There are going to be times when you want your mother, but as a mother, you'll naturally want to reach out to your mom for perspective and guidance, right? You want your mother to help you be a mother, but that brings that same woman face to face with the realization that no, my mother is not who I need to go to because she is not able to give me what I'm actually looking for. She can't provide me with the guidance that I need to raise emotionally mature, safe children who trust me, who feel unconditionally loved. She has no concept. She can't contribute to the woman that I'm actively becoming.
She doesn't have it in her to do that.
Right. All she can do is be resentful and attempt to regain control and validation by making things about her.
This is when the idea of the narcissistic mother, so that's what was not addressed, I think. The difference between a narcissistic mother and just, maybe an immature parent or something else, right? That they don't have it. She doesn't have it to give, and she's not going to have it if you wait 6 months or 6 years. Whereas maybe there are other forms of family trauma or family dysfunction that growth can heal.
Yeah.
So that's why you specifically talk about adult daughters of narcissistic parents, because that's a different thing.
Yeah. Parents who are flawed, like, everyone who maybe do have, something rough in their childhood, some dysfunction, some emotional gaps. Okay, they're human. Great. If they're willing to work on that, if they're genuinely desiring to get better as a person so that they not just can show up as a better parent, but as a better version of themselves, then that is an example of a relationship that can grow. No contact may not be the answer. Nobody is out here going no contact with their parent before they exhaust every other option.
Right.
It's not an impulse. It's not, I didn't get my way, so I don't want to talk to you anymore. You go no contact when you have tried again and again to have a successful friendship with your parent. Right. You changed your own behavior. You've ignored yourself. You've gaslit yourself about your own reality, right? You have believed a whole lie to get along with her. And no matter what you do or how you modify, you will always be left with the realization that you can't have a harmonious relationship with your parent because they do not want it. They actively destroy that. They attack it. They do not want to be your friend. They want to be your tormentor. Okay. It's a trauma bond, which requires a perpetrator and a victim. You both are equal. If you both feel safe, if you both have space to name your feelings and be fully represented, then they're not interested in that dynamic. It takes their power away. It requires them to show up in a balanced emotional manner, and they're not interested in that.
Right.
As their child, you are the place where they get to come unleash all of their demons, and you're just supposed to be their container.
Yes. So if time is not going to make the relationship better, but you're always going to want that a mother, is finding a surrogate a valid step, especially during these times, like it's Christmas time, it's, Thanksgiving, it's New Year's, is it is finding someone and saying, "Oh, you're my mother now," is that a valid thing? When I was a kid, my favorite book, that Dr. Seuss, Are You My Mother? I love that book. I don't really know why, but listen, the little bird was like, "Are you my mother? Are you my mother?" That was I don't know why. I love that book. And in my family, we joke about me finding my birth mother. So is that a valid thing? Because also I will tell someone, I made my own grandmother. I created a grandmother out of nothing, out of thin air, because my grandmother, one of them died before I was born, another died when I was young.
Yeah.
Is that a valid thing to do with mothers?
It is. I think there are some things to be considered, but especially for women who go no contact in their 20s, I think, you know, your frontal lobe is not even fully developed until 25. So you may still need a parent figure. And yes, if you are graced to have people around you that are healthy and stable and able to give you a secure replacement for a parent, absolutely, by all means, enjoy that.
Okay.
I think we have to be mindful that you can get kind of caught in a loop. I'm glad you brought up that book because I bring it up too, of going around from person to person looking for a little cup of unconditional love, and it can easily position you to be taken advantage of and re-traumatized.
Okay.
It leads a lot of us into church hurt, into abusive relationships with men, into fake friendships. And I think that is why reparenting is so important,
Okay.
because what we're really looking for is a secure attachment within ourselves. We are looking for a secure attachment to a parent. And while you may be able to find, I think, bits and pieces of a parent in people, which is, get what you need. I think there are creators that you can be fed by from a distance, right? They don't necessarily have to be people in your life for you to reach out for the pieces of a parent that you need.
Okay.
When you reparent, you gain a little more control, more perspective over your needs as a child, and you can actually reach out to get your need met rather than reaching out to your parent who's not going to meet your need. We want to be nurtured. And so when I know that I want to be nurtured, I can reach out for the practitioner, the online creator, the professional that I actually need who's going to nurture me, rather than just going to my mother, asking her to be someone that I know that she can't.
Mm-hmm. So are you saying that after your 20s, are you saying that after your 20s, it's more about you reparenting yourself than about finding those relationships from other people or from creating a surrogate parent?
Yes, I think after 25 to 30, ideally your focus is on building friendships, because your friends, especially the Black women who are your friends, you're naturally going to nurture one another. It's what we do for each other. You want to build friendships because those require mutual respect. They require reciprocity. You both have to want to be in that relationship and treat each other well for it to continue. So you're not showing up in this needy space of, oh, I didn't get this in my childhood, so I need you to be something to me. I need you to pour into me more than I'm able to give to you. It takes you out of that subjugate disposition, and you're able to show up as an equal. You're able to give the same respect that you want to receive so that you can feel safe. And if at any time you want to walk away, you're not triggering a whole new mother wound, right? You're not feeling guilty from detaching from this person that you've made your surrogate. You're able to instead rely on a secure attachment you've created within yourself, and you'll develop awareness of your inner child as well as your inner parent.
Okay. So what do we mean by reparenting ourselves? What does that mean? And what does that look like? I only read the first part of the question, Hello, Crystal.
Yes. So reparenting is the process that you'll begin when you actually go no contact. It's important to fully step away from your parents so that any PTSD that you may be sitting on can manifest. The trauma cannot show itself until it is post, like until you're done with that experience is not going to surface. So creating enough space and distance for your actual repressed memory to come to the surface, that is going to require you to do the introspection to heal the disconnect between you and your inner child. So you're going to reach her through things like exposure journaling. That's writing out those flashbacks that come to mind after. This is again in no contact. When the post-traumatic stress starts to manifest, you'll have flashbacks, detailing those, looking at them under a magnifying glass. I do recommend you have one-on-one support when you do this, so you can be crystal clear about what actually happened to you in your childhood is going to reestablish the bond.
Okay.
From there, it's really about showing up with integrity in your relationship between you and your inner child. So now that she has trusted you by sharing with you what happened to her, telling her story to you, do you betray her like your mother betrayed you, right? Do you say, okay, thanks for sharing. Now shut up and get back in the closet because it's the holidays and we got to go back over there?
Okay.
Or do you say, okay, I acknowledge you as a real child, and you told me that XYZ took place. You don't feel comfortable around this person. You don't have to go around this person. And that becomes the new normal. That becomes your metric. I'm not going to take you around the person who has mistreated you. I'm not going to subject you to performing for your abuser. We're not doing that. I'm not going to be the kind of parent that I had who makes you do that. And so through becoming her parent and caring for her in the way that you should have been cared for, you will become the parent to your inner child.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the protector and the listener and okay.
The advocate.
Advocate is the word. Yes.
You're the only advocate that your inner child has. And if you do not operate in that capacity as being fully willing to show up for her, no matter who you have to disappoint, no matter what system you have to break free from, no matter what people think or how they judge you, you put her well-being first, just like you would if that was your real child. That is how you begin the process of reparenting, and it will put you at odds with all of your abusers, no matter who they are, because your obligation now is to be true to her. She's watching you as her mother. So, do you subject her to being abused? Do you not speak up when someone hurts her feelings? Do you put her in situations that position her to be victimized? Or do you care for her? Do you protect her the way that a parent should? That's how you're going to evolve in your relationship with self to be healthier and to have that secure attachment within so that you don't need it from someone else.
Okay. All right. And that is the cycle breaking. That is because even if you decide that, so here's another time we're about to go into something else that I didn't want to go in. I didn't mean to, I'm trying to not sound just dismissive. There are women who absolutely do not want to have children. Okay. And there are women who don't have children because of a cycle of abuse in their families, but would want children if it hadn't been for that. Right. But even if that woman decides she's not going to have children as a way to break that cycle, that doesn't break the cycle because there are other people in your life. And you still have to learn how not to bring that into your life no, not bring. You still have to learn not to accept that from other people. Because what we see is women who have these narcissistic mothers and that narcissistic mother abuse. So are their husbands, right? So are their boyfriends. So are their bosses. We talk a lot about abuse on work, toxic workplace and work abuse. And it's shocking some things that happen to women. And sometimes it's because of those other relationships in their life and they don't know how to. Breaking the cycle is more than just not having children, is what I'm saying.
Definitely. Having or not having doesn't make or break the cycle. It's one way of doing that, but it also, if you are child free and breaking the cycle, that means you're doing the work. You're committed to examining what the traumatic cycles are in your family system and breaking out of them. That means you have to become aware. You have to tune in and get in therapy, actually intentionally do that healing work.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if not, maybe you are child free, but you're definitely taking that narcissistic abuse out on someone else.
Yeah.
And so continuing the cycle.
Yes. So what did reparenting look like for you, and how long have you been no contact?
So it's been 8 years.
8 years.
Reparenting, it has evolved over time, but it started out with exposure journaling, being willing to really examine what happened to me in early childhood, making space for those difficult memories to resurface. Not an acupuncture. I know I mentioned that here before, was very helpful as far as surfacing the repressed memory.
Oh.
There were things that I experienced and remembered, but didn't necessarily recall because my body was protecting me from them.
Okay.
And after staying no contact long enough, doing the work to not reach out to my abuser when I felt lonely, when I had withdrawals, when it had been 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 6 weeks since someone checked in on me. It's been almost a year since anyone has hugged me right now today.
Okay.
There was a time early on in my journey that would have completely dysregulated me.
Okay.
And I would have been spiraling, looking for someone to pour out their little unconditional cup of love because are you my mom?
Mm-hmm.
And learning to break out of that cycle of chemical addiction, because that's what it is.
Okay.
To figure out okay, I feel sad, I feel lonely, I want to cry right now. What is really going on here? Because it doesn't break you. You sit with the feelings, you cry, you feel sad or whatever, you feel the rage, it comes out, and you're still there. Once you choose to have that difficult confrontation with whatever is surfacing, rather than bail out by reaching out to your abuser who's going, it's like
Mm-hmm.
bailing out of a withdrawal from a substance, and you just go for that first hit and oh good, now you feel so much better, but you just restarted a whole toxic attachment.
For 2 minutes you feel better. Yeah.
Right. So intentionally working one-on-one with a therapist to explore my childhood for traumatic themes, source the root of the feelings, insecurities, challenging mindsets that were surfacing in my adult life. Work really helped to push me into therapy.
Okay.
Also was an abusive environment, and it was just it made me wonder, wait, what actually is going on here? Because I want to show up in a way that is loving and desirable, and I'm trying to make these connections, but it's not landing. And I need to understand how much of this is me needing to grow as a person, and how much of this is actually an abusive system that is working against me.
Okay.
Working with a therapist helped me to see, actually, your job is showing up in the exact same way that your mother is.
Yeah.
Actually, the mindsets that you have learned in church are hindering you from healing. And so being willing to do that work is a part of reparenting. But then there's also a flip side, right? Like having more fun, playing, doing things that feel good to my inner child.
Like what's your, seriously, what is your thing?
What is my thing? I think it has changed, but I enjoy reading, writing poetry. Those are things that I used to do a lot when I was a lot younger, just reading storybooks. And so that's something that I will reach for now, or watching a cartoon, maybe playing with a Barbie or a doll. Those were things that I enjoyed as a child, and they still bring my inner child that same joy now. Even if like adult me doesn't necessarily want to like watch a cartoon, I still make the time and space for her, especially early on in my journey when I needed to soothe her.
Okay.
Those childlike activities were a great way to do that.
Okay.
But also, so now that I'm further away from that space, so like I mentioned, it's been almost a year since anyone has hugged me. I'm aware of that, but I balance that out by doing things like getting a massage, going to the nail shop,
Okay.
um, you know, indulging myself in a way that will still meet my need for physical touch. It's a way that I acknowledge my need without necessarily needing to attach to someone in a relationship.
Okay. Okay. Listen, Black men lost their minds when they stopped going to the barbershop. The haircut went to $50. Did y'all know this? A haircut can be $50 at the
More than
barbershop or 70. Yeah.
that.
And so Black men stopped going to barbershops and nobody's touching them. And now they
Yeah.
lost their minds.
Yeah.
I don't know about women with Black women didn't really stop getting hair done. Well, I guess I don't get my hair done, but a lot of Black women still get touched in some way. So what does your circle look like so you live in Phoenix? Yeah.
Yes, for now, I still need to go back and move out of my apartment at some point. I don't know where I'm going to be or what necessarily my next move is.
Okay.
I don't really see myself staying in Phoenix necessarily. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So I think about you a lot, but I don't reach out to you all that much. I'm glad I reached out to you the other day. So what is your plan, friend, for making sure that you have a personal circle, not just the work circle? We're going to talk about the work that Dani does. We haven't really specifically talked about how she can work and help you, friends. But what is your plan for your own personal circle? So you do get hugged and rubbed up on, right? So you do have that thing. That is a human need. We're mammals, and there are certain things that we need. And that's one of the things that we need.
For sure. So a first step that I have taken is I recently opened myself and my calendar for a support group for Black women who are estranged from their mothers. It is spiritually focused. It's specifically for us to build our skill set around prayer.
Okay.
And so the reason that I feel ready to do that now, I think a need for a supportive space for us has been long needed. It's been a long time coming. And I've kind of experimented with the group dynamic around working with this specific demographic, but a talk-based support group, I don't think is the best for us because we can so easily trigger one another.
Okay.
This way, yes, we're meeting and we are bonding around the fact that we're all estranged daughters. However, we come together to actually do the work that we need to do in that session to feel lighter when we walk away. So we're doing the work in prayer to lift up our needs, our requests, our petition, to pour out our heart, our feelings, our anxiety, so that when we step back into the reality of our lives, we can have been poured into by the divine. And that is going to help us to have the peace that we need to hold our hearts and our minds in those difficult moments when we are isolated. With that said, I do anticipate doing more traveling, more real life socializing. I don't think I was quite ready for that. I think as long as I had Dutch, I was going to be happy.
Okay.
I was content with our little life, the two of us. I was very much accustomed to that. And so there's new space in my life for aligned relationships. But I also just think the divine timing of things is I'm more ready for that now than I was before. And the period of isolation when you go no contact is very necessary. There's a lot of self-development that needs to be done. And we need to step away, not only from that family system, but from new relationships, because we're not the version of us that is ready to show up as our best selves. And that's okay. That takes time. And yeah, I feel like I'm ready for that. So I'm looking forward to new experiences in the new year.
Okay, good. Do you know where after this house sit? Do you know where you're gonna go?
Not necessarily. I'm looking at a few different options. I had the opportunity to take a house sit in Ireland for a few months,
Mhm.
but I don't think the house was quite what I really wanted to be in for 3 months. So I'm gonna keep looking, but I'm open.
Okay, good. Yeah, I as a friend, right? As a person who has friends, as a Black woman who has friends, I don't know that you need to show up as your best self.
Yeah,
This is a thing that I often see with Black women who I'm not going to say Black women with narcissistic moms because I don't know.
yeah,
A lot of my friends, I don't even know their moms, right? But as a Black woman who has who is friends with other Black women, some of whom have a relationship with their moms that is not what they would want.
hmm
They often there's often like a wall to being their friend
yeah,
that I see it and I feel bad for them because you don't have to show up perfectly. I
yeah,
think that's a history, that's a trauma, that's a historical thing that you've had to show up perfect. But that's not what friendship is, I don't think, and that's not how you start a friendship. It's definitely not how you maintain a friendship.
yeah.
And if you feel like I have to wait until I can show up as my best self, um, what is that? What is that? And it shouldn't you I hope that you pri okay, I am bossy. I know I'm bossy. But I do hope that you prioritize one-on-one friendship, connection, conversation, something, even if it's like I'm house sitting at this place, let me find somebody online who everybody lurks online. Let me find somebody online and see if she wants to go have coffee or something. Um it's Black women are so wonderful, and not having relationship with Black women is something that some people should be punished with. There are people who deserve to not have Black women in their lives, okay? But it's not us. We
Yes,
should be reaping the benefits of
definitely.
having Black women in our lives.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rika. If nobody else agrees with me, Rika agrees with me. And so that's the thing that you're deserving of, just like everybody, just like we're deserving of that. And yeah, I'm telling people everywhere, 2026, Stephanie will take serious things seriously because it's not a thing I do. I don't take things seriously, even if I should. I hope 2026, Dani is like, and here is my tight knit circle of friends where I don't have to be my best self to
Yeah.
be in community with these people.
That sounds great. I think personally, and then also for women who identify similarly, community and friendships have not, they in the past, they have been an extension of that abusive relationship with the mother.
Yes.
And so it's touchy, I think. But again, like I said, the goal after 30 or so should be to establish friendships rather than surrogate parentships,
Yes.
because we're able to show up in mutual respect, and it should be founded on unconditional love, right?
Mhm.
We both get to be on equal playing fields in the friendship, so there's some safety there.
Mm.
um, but there's still some lingering doubt about being accepted, about being loved for who I am,
Yeah.
and trusting that there's not just someone but multiple someones who can actually hold all of who I am.
Okay.
Like being able to bring only the best parts of myself forward to be accepted. But then when someone encounters the shadow aspects of me, when they see the flip side of who I am, then it's like, oh, you only wanted the front face. And so I'm not sure how I'll make those connections, but I trust God to bring those into my life in the right time. So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, good. Yeah. So part of it, as a person who's made friends with people just because I heard them talk on the internet and I was like, I like her, right?
Yeah.
Part of it is really talking your talk, and you do that on your YouTube channel. And I think that that is a way that you'll find your people, right? And your people will find you and be the extroverts in the situation and make you their friends,
Yeah.
even if even that's That's what I think. I think that that's a tool. That's a way. I've used YouTube. Listen, Roshni is my friend. Glamazini, Roshni, she's my friend because I'm like, we're going to be friends. I like, right? And when I reach out to you, it's because I'm like, oh, we're going to be friends. I don't feel like it has to be much harder than that.
Yeah, I think you're right. I'm a hardcore introvert.
Yes.
Introvert homebody. And
Yes.
so, again, I've been here since before Thanksgiving. I think I've left the house 2 times. And I was to run an errand and come back.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an area I can grow in for sure. And I think it's on the horizon.
I recognize that in you, right? My dad said yesterday, what was he saying? He said something. He was like, and I just want you to leave the house one time. They drug me to I wanted to go to the birthday parties. Andre, hi, happy birthday, Andre. I wanted to go to the family birthday party, but we went to the family birthday party and I haven't left the neighborhood since then. Yeah. And he was like, I just want you to leave. And I'm like, no, it's so nice in here, right? I am a hermit. He's the outside person. I am the inside person. I recognize that, but there are also people who will do the opposite. There's a yin to every yang. There's an extrovert for every introvert. There's a party girl for every hermit. Yeah. Right. There's a pot for every lid. Yeah. And you being open to it is a delightful thing. And you having a YouTube channel means that somebody gonna be like, okay, we're friends now. Just let that happen.
I'm open. I will happily receive. Yes.
Good. Yeah. So the idea of feeling like you are enough, though, is powerful. Mm-hmm. I hope I didn't minimize that. Right? Not because there is a version of the person who on a similar journey who was like, I got to have all these people in my life because I can't sit with me. I refuse to just sit with me. Yeah. And so I do appreciate that you have been able to do this without going and trying to get all these, like you said, external validations, all this. Can you just the drop, please? Can you just give me a little drop of a little, right? You've been able to do the care for you. Yeah. I do think that's healing. I appreciate that too.
Thank you for naming that because it is very important, and I don't think just to this healing journey, but Black women in general. If we're not careful, the threat of being alone, old and alone, can chase you around like Michael Myers or somebody. And
that's right.
The hermit mode is definitely a way of just standing still and looking Michael Myers in the face like, okay, why are you chasing me? What do you want? And yeah.
And then what you learn is, me and Michael Myers, we're friends, right? This alone, the threat of don't threaten me. Yeah, with being alone and old, because friend, that sounds pretty delightful. To most of the Black women I know who were not alone and are now alone, they really prefer alone, right? Yeah, they had this spouse or whatever that's over. They really appreciate the alone. Yeah, so don't threaten me with that because it sounds delightful. Mm-hmm. Delightful. So let's talk about your support group a little bit more. This is where they go to Dani. They go to Ellison. I got the link right here. Ellison Inc.
Yes, that's right. If you go to ellisoninc.com, you subscribe to the mailing list. The second email that you'll get is an invite to join the support group for estranged Black women.
Yes. I'm telling myself to not make a lot of noise. This is me doing that. Sorry. Keep talking.
We actually had our first meeting this Thursday, and we're going to meet on Christmas Day. And so it went really well. I'm very excited. It feels so good to be able to finally come closer to the women that I share this space with. And we're unpacking the individual challenges that we have in our journey. But I think a support group needs to be more than that. And part of what really bothered me about church culture was the way that small groups would come together, talk about their problems, pat each other on the back, sip some coffee, and go home. And that just did not compute to me. Like, why would we amass all of this spiritual power and then not use it to be better when we leave this place? And so that is specifically what I'm doing with the women who I'm working with. We're going to develop a framework for intimate prayer so that we're able to confidently go to the presence of the divine to get our needs met more effectively. And those are needs of all kinds. And I wanted to approach support from this angle because the truth is we can talk all the clinical talk that we want to, we can hand out resources, and those are great, but there's still going to be those moments when it just hurts.
Yeah.
When you're not going to pick up a book and read it because you're in agony, because you're sitting on the ground crying. And you need what is going to hold you in those moments. You need the peace that is going to hold your mind and heart. And that is what I want to help connect women to, because I could not have come this far on my journey if it were not for the power of the Holy Spirit in my life. The moments when I needed someone and there was no resource, it was the comfort of the Holy Spirit. And that really is what's going to make the difference. I also think the isolation period, like the need to be alone and to go deep into your healing work, it's purposeful for women who identify as being called by God. You have a calling on your life. You feel connected to some higher purpose that you're here to achieve. That period of stepping away from the family system, being in isolation with God so that he can heal you and mold you and shape you the way that he needs you to be, so that when you step out into your purpose, you're empowered for that, is a huge part of this. And so I think that is the support that these women really need right now, is how to strengthen their prayer life and their spiritual skill set for protection.
So if a Black woman really does she need to have already, the support group is called the support group for Black women, for estranged Black women. Does she already need to be estranged or in this no contact situation to come to the support group? Can she be mulling it over?
So that is an excellent question. That's an excellent question. It is very important that if you're not fully already no contact, you are seriously considering it. Like, you are right on the lip of it. You probably have already gone no contact and maybe gone back into contact, but it's not working. You might be in that period. If we're aligned, that can work. I want to be very careful about bringing together women who are estranged and women who have abusive mothers, but who are not estranged, because it is so easy for us to trigger one another.
Okay.
And once you actually step into no contact, it brings a different energy to the healing journey and different momentum to what you're doing. And those are the women that I want to hold space for. Okay. So if you're seriously considering no contact, like this is actively happening to you right now, then we welcome you as an affirming space for your estrangement. If your goal is to apply a Band-Aid to an abusive relationship with your mother, this is not the right space.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, good. All right. Can we, I want to go back to this conversation. You said bonded through obligation. Mm-hmm. Hi, Donna. Listen, I've not heard it worded that way, but the idea of the family, birth, biological parent, biological child, that bond, that obligation is so, we're told so much that we're supposed to stick with that to the detriment of anything else that we might need in our lives, or to the detriment of our own selves. Right. And I just want to talk for a minute about choosing your family or choosing relationships as an adult, instead of just by default staying in relationship with people who you don't want to stay in relationship with. So as two people who really enjoy pet sitting, sometimes you see people, you see people and they'll be like, these pets are mother and daughter or mother and son. And that like that dog don't care about that other dog any more than it cares about any other animal or any other person.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I don't know how to say this. It's okay. I think it's okay if your biological parents or whatever are just other people in the world. And that concept of family the idea of that a family has to stay a family after the child is an adult.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be that way, is what I want to say. That family doesn't have to stay that family. That obligation doesn't have to stay there if you choose not to continue it. Am I saying this in any way that makes sense?
Definitely. That's why the friendship is important, because after a certain point, the parent is done raising the child. They're not a child anymore.
Yeah.
They don't need you to be their manager or their boss. You're another adult and you need to like each other. So you want to be together. You need to be able to treat them with the same respect that they can expect from any other adult in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And for so long, the simple appearance of the family, right? We were performing, we were putting up a facade for external validation. So it doesn't matter how we really feel about each other. That's shameful. Don't talk about it. What happens at home stays at home. You need to dress it up and come to church and make it look good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Whereas this is about freedom here, right? We are a generation who is taking hold of a freedom that we haven't had before. As a Black woman, there was a time when I would not have been able to walk away from the abuser that I didn't want.
Yeah.
And out of respect for my ancestors, I choose to be free. I'm not staying in any relationship that makes me a slave. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to perform the role of a dutiful daughter while I'm being mistreated, right? It's not balanced. I don't have to be your slave. Mm-hmm. And I think, we're always told to honor your mother and your father. Mm-hmm. But the verse that follows that is, parents, don't provoke your children to anger. Mm-hmm. There's a balance to be expected. And if the parent is not able to model conflict resolution skills, if they're not able to model what it looks like to be respectful when you're angry, what it looks like to surface, you had a hurt feeling or something is bothering you. Okay. If they're not willing to grow with their child and you all learn that together, you improve that relationship together, it's best that you do separate. By showing up, you position your parent to continue to be an abuser, and you never cause them to really see the fullness of their behavior so they have the opportunity to change.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so when we talk about creating a chosen family, we often talk about adding in people, and we don't talk about removing people, right? Choosing the people who you're going to go through life or go through this phase of life with, or choosing people who you're going to show up for, choosing people who are going to show up for you. We talk a lot about adding in, but sometimes you got to take people out. I mean, remove them. I don't mean kill them. I mean, sometimes there are people who need to be taken out. And I think that biological bond, right? That biological link should not I don't think it should factor in. I don't think it should factor. If they need to be removed from this chosen family, they need to be removed from the chosen family.
Right.
That's part of the choosing. We talk so much about adding someone. This is my chosen family, but like there are people also who need to be removed. Listen all week long. I cannot stop thinking about the Rob Reiner. I mean, like it's okay to just say you're not in this family anymore, or I'm not in this family anymore. That would be so much more preferable than the end that did happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want to talk. I just want people to know that when you talk about choose, we all have the right to choose the people that, whether you call them family or not, you can call them your circle, your squad, your friend group, whatever, but
Right.
you choose who's in it. That
Right.
includes choosing who's not in it.
Definitely. Absolutely. And it's important that Black women get to name that because we haven't always had a say
Mhm.
in who has access to us. When we have that narcissistic parent, that emotionally immature parent, they're not raising us fully for our benefit. It's about their benefit. They don't necessarily fully have our best interest at heart. An emotionally mature parent who has no motive for raising their child is looking to raise a competent adult who's able to make good decisions and be independent from them because they're not always going to be here.
Yeah.
And that competent adult will have the skills to say, oh, hey, this person is not safe and they're not someone I should have in my life. That's just a part of being a responsible adult and making good choices. Our narcissistic parent compromises that in us because they want us to continue to choose them even when they are an unsafe person.
Yeah.
And so we don't become that emotionally independent, competent adult who can set proper boundaries if we do what our parent wants us to do. It's okay, whoever it is. Because if we were talking about a man who was abusing a woman and she decided to get divorced, it would be a no brainer.
Yeah.
We would immediately get that. But because it's our mother, because the abuse is unseen in some ways, because it doesn't leave a mark, we would be much more comfortable if you just simply were quiet and overlooked that.
Right. That's right. And that's not in service of you, right? That's in service of their image or their control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There are consequences to staying in a relationship with your abusive mother out of obligation until her last breath. What happens to those women is when their mother passes away, they are left feeling like they're holding this empty bag. You know, they were holding their end of a stick that kept them engaged in this cycle with their parent. And now that their parent is gone, they're not sure who they are. They don't necessarily have an identity to step out on because their claim to fame, their primary means of being validated, was disappearing for their parent.
Mm.
That's how the cycle continues.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you become some other woman in your family's worst nightmare because you're lashing out to express your frustration, your resentment, your pain that you don't have a vehicle now to express to your mother because she's no longer there.
Yeah.
And now the guilt levels up. Now you're 10 times worse of a person because you're speaking ill of the dead now. And look at all she did for you. And now her life is over. And what's your problem?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no win. You're not going to win by
Yeah.
just hanging on until she's gone, because I
Yeah.
don't think, because you're never going to, no, then nobody's ever going to be on your side. Once she's dead, she's a saint.
Exactly.
Right. Once she's gone, she's the greatest woman who ever walked this planet.
Yep.
There's no win
Right.
in that.
Yeah.
You mentioned a term earlier that I meant to ask you about. You
Mhm.
said, I think you said gray rock.
Gray rocking. Yes.
What is that?
It's a form of coping when you are still engaged in that relationship with the narcissist. Gray rocking is a form of when you go around them, you shut down emotionally. It happens pretty, you can do it consciously, but it happens pretty automatically when you're not safe and you know you're not. You shut down emotionally and you refrain from sharing anything that might be of interest to the narcissist, anything that might be colorful, like what you're excited about, something positive that happened in your life, what you're looking forward to, what you're genuinely invested in. You stop showing up as yourself and you present this boring gray rock of a person. Everything's fine, nothing's going on, nothing to talk about, nothing new, nothing much, so that they don't have anything to latch onto.
Okay.
So it's a coping skill that you can use when you are in the relationship with the narcissist. It's a way of stepping back out of the relationship and leaving like an empty shell of yourself there for them to interact with.
Okay. And you're saying don't do this. Well, so because that seems like a thing that would be helpful if you just, don't give her anything, then, there's nothing for her to hurt you with.
Mm-hmm. It is helpful in the short term. The problem is, for one, when the narcissist picks up on the fact that you're gray rocking, they're going to get angry and they're going to punish you for it.
Okay.
They're going to increase their level of demand for emotional supply. Now they're going to specifically be digging because you're not offering up details. Now they're going to manipulate you into a situation that allows them to measure, are you actually not sharing things? Are you acting funny? Or can I still get the same access that I usually have? The flip side is, after a while, that gets very boring. It's that obligation again, because now the entire time you're on the phone or you're at your mom's house, you're not even there. You have to go away. You don't get to be present and engaged with yourself because you're shutting down to be some emotionless shell for your parent. It's that disappearing act. It's, your parent is happiest when you're there but not there. Mm-hmm. And at some point, enough is enough. Personally, I get real bored with that real quick. I don't want to talk to you if I have to not talk to you. What's the point? Let's not talk on the phone if I can't be myself, mm-hmm. if I can't be vulnerable with you, if I can't share my my wins with you. What's the point? Why am I doing this? I know why you're doing this, but why am I in this relationship?
What then happens is the narcissist has the ability to go to everybody else and go, she didn't tell me nothing. Can you believe she didn't? Right? Stephanie didn't tell me whatever. Stephanie, she's doing all this. She never said a word to me. Yeah. Now they get to be the victim, right? Yeah. You get to be the big bad, mm-hmm. and they get to be the victim because you did this thing to protect yourself, and it ends up, I think, backfiring. Even I see that, right? Even I see how that backfires.
Yep. It's usually the beginning of no contact because the narcissist does not allow it. You have to be an open book. There cannot be any boundaries. The second they smell a boundary, it's a problem. They're going to seek to knock it down. And when they realize that you're intentionally withholding from them, they're going to reach into their bag for some new tricks. That's when they start a low-key smear campaign. Mm-hmm. That's when they start weaponizing flying monkeys, who now you got cousin so-and-so that you don't even talk to calling you, asking for details about your personal life, mm-hmm. so that your mother can get the access. She's trying to see, are you talking to them but not to me? Is something wrong with you? Are you depressed? What's the problem? Mm-hmm. And not that they care about you, right? It doesn't matter if you were to say, I don't feel comfortable or safe sharing with, it doesn't matter. Whatever we have to do, however I have to attack you, break you down, so that you go back to being compliant, that's what's going to happen.
And you told me, you explained flying monkeys to me the first time we talked. That is when they employ other people to do their bidding, right? Employ other people in your family or in your world to go and pry, or or either pry to get information from you, or to try to convince you mm-hmm. to go talk to the person you've decided you're not talking to.
Yep. They also use flying monkeys to punish you for your peace when you haven't talked to them in a while, to deliver the hurtful narrative that they've been telling about you. The flying monkey, if the smear campaign doesn't make it back to you, it's not effective because you're not pulled into it.
Right. That's the point of the smear campaign. Okay.
Right, because now you don't want to talk to me, so now I'm going to go smear you and put some lies out there. So now you feel put upon to protect yourself and defend yourself. And so now you're giving up all the details that I wanted in the first place, and you won't withhold from me anymore. You'll just be the open book that I want you to be, so we don't have to do this again.
So how does a family member, so I'm Stephanie, how does Stephanie deal how do I not become a flying monkey? How do I know if I'm being used as a flying monkey, or if I'm just a person in a family and we have conversations, right?
Right.
What's the difference?
Yeah, that's where the awareness and those healthy boundaries come in, right? Because as a family, it's unrealistic that you don't talk about one another to one another, right? Especially you get different generations mixed together. The adults are going to talk about the kids are going to talk about the adults. It's just going to happen. Are we being mature adults when we're talking about one another?
Okay.
So yes, you may talk about someone in your family, but are you talking down on them? Are you telling me how you feel about what they did or said instead of talking to them?
Okay.
Are you using talking to me as an alternative to having a crucial conversation with them? Because what happens lots of times, and this is how you become an enabling abuser, because you see it from a distance, but you don't intervene, and then we reinforce the narcissist's bad habits.
Mm-hmm.
So many families, very common, that mother figure will feel slighted or disrespected or whatever by their child. Instead of addressing it directly with their child to resolve the conflict, instead they go to someone else, they tell their version.
Yeah.
That
First.
person
Gotta
angry
get it
first
first.
on their behalf, right? They invest that person in their cause, and then that person is naturally moved to reach out to you. They become the vehicle of the narcissist's feelings toward you. And that way they don't have to take off their mask. They don't have to be vulnerable, right? Because if they addressed it with you, if they come to you about the reason that they're hurt or angry or whatever, you're going to hear them, you're going to respond, and you're going to tell them about, your side of the story, why you're hurt, why it happened. And in order to reach a resolution, you would both have to work together. You have to collaborate, you have to compromise. There need to be apologies, there need to be change behavior, and they're not here for that. This is about, again, a trauma bond. This is mind control. This is MK Ultra. I'm going to break you down through trauma so that you're compliant. So instead of attempting to resolve a conflict, I'm going to go shame you. I'm going to go incite the rest of the family against you, and you need to fold. That's the only acceptable option that the narcissist gives you.
Mm-hmm.
They also use fake concern to do this.
Yeah.
Fake concern. We need to be aware of it because it has to be called out. If you're really concerned about whoever that is this like, are we having an intervention? Who is it that you're talking about that concern to? Are you talking to someone who can do something about it, or are you talking to their brother or sister about it? Mm-hmm. What are they supposed to do? Right? It's inappropriate. It's emotionally immature. It's an unhealthy boundary for a parent to talk to one child about the other in a disparaging way. Triangulation. Mm-hmm. And so, right, if we're gonna have these relationships, they have to get healthier. We have to behave better, and the narcissist is not interested in that.
So this fake concern thing is upsetting because the concern is what the daughter wants anyway. She really wants the mom to be concerned about her. So the mom can use fake concern to get back in there. Yep. And then, it was fake because I'm not able to be concerned about you because I am a narcissist. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
It's the worst, right? It's the thing that, like, oh, that's all she wanted. If you could fake the concern, like narcissist moms out there, if you could fake the concern to get your way, can't you always fake the concern? Just always fake it. Right? Like, isn't that because there are psychiatrists out there who teach sociopaths to pretend to not be a sociopath so that they can operate in society.
Yeah.
Right? It just makes it easier on everybody.
Yeah.
If you could fake concern in the first place, why didn't you fake concern all along? Because you don't have the ability to be a concerned parent. You could have faked it all along. If you could fake it today to get your way, you could have faked it all along so that this child wouldn't feel so uncared for.
That does not serve their purpose. They want you to feel uncared for.
Yes.
It doesn't serve their purpose if you feel loved and whole, and that doesn't work for them. That's why even when they give out of their best intention and they allow us to feel that at some point, that's what sets the stage for the addiction. Because sometimes my mother does make me feel good. She is able to show up in this energy and this maternal, but it's when she feels like it, it's on her terms, it's for her purpose.
Yeah.
That's why we have to talk about the unconditional love, because when I need it from you, but you may not have it at that moment, you may not feel like it may not serve your purpose to show up for me, but that's what I need. A mother who is loving and genuinely present in the relationship gives that.
Yes.
The narcissistic mother only cares that you have set a boundary that says she's not God in your life.
Mhm.
And she simply wants to break down that boundary. She does not care about you or your well-being. You shouldn't even have who are you to claim this wellness? What are
Yeah.
you talking about? You don't deserve that.
Yeah.
You get the wellness that I give to you. So get back in line.
Mhm. All right. So, friends, I do want to ask this question that someone asked a couple of different times, but I don't know if I started. If there is a woman here today who wants to join the community, but she's not Christian, the question was asked really well, but I'm sorry, I didn't put a star on it. But okay, someone who wants to join the community, she's not Christian, but she still wants to join the community. Are you okay with that? Is it, if she's like, yeah, read the Bible to me, okay, that's fine, but I'm not a Christian,
Yeah.
can she be there?
Yes. So the reason I've set up an application for the group, because I realized that this is more simple than just, or this is more complicated than just, I'm an estranged Black woman and I want to come be in group with you. The application gives you an opportunity to help me better understand what your background has been, where you're coming from, what you're looking for. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be that you identify the way that I identify, or a specific way. I'm looking for alignment. I want to know that we're able to work together toward a shared goal. And so um, share yourself in that application
Okay.
so that I can better understand, and then we will go from there.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much, Dani. Okay. All right, friends. So, Dani, is there any approach to this or anything that we didn't cover today that you think we should talk about? Anything that you don't want to leave here without us saying?
Mm, 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 mm. No contact is not a form of lacking conflict resolution skills. It is your primal right to protect yourself.
Mhm.
You came into the world fighting back. If you felt something, you expressed it. If you were hungry, you cried. If you were angry, you hit, you screamed, and you did not care about anybody's expectation of you. And so, going no contact with an abuser who requires you to deny the truth of who you are is not a choice that you have to make. You're able to go no contact. It doesn't matter if it's your mother, your father, your grandmother, brother, sister. Do not let shame and obligation control you into staying in a abusive dynamic, even if it is your parent. I know that the fallout of that, the consequences of going no contact, are not easy to face, but you will have a much easier time of doing that now than the women who did that 10 years ago.
Mhm.
You have so much more at your disposal to help make the pieces fit. And I would love to help you do that, even if it's simply through affirming your choice to be free from your abuser. So I just want to make sure that it is clearly stated. Going no contact does not make you a selfish, immature, impulsive, entitled child who is mistreating or shaming your mother. This is not about punishing your parent. This is not about holding a grudge for what they didn't get right when they were raising you. This is not a lack of grace or forgiveness. And so I acknowledge that in you. You're not crazy. You're not making it up. You're not being dramatic. It really happened. It was really abuse, and you really deserve to be free from it.
Yes. That is the thing that I wish had been more discussed during the Oprah conversation, or had been better discussed, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
By the time, and this is why Black women need Black women spaces,
Mm-hmm.
because by the time a Black woman says no contact,
Right.
uh, this is not a matter of like, oh, I'm not sure. Right.
Mhm.
There might be people for whom, maybe, I don't know, maybe not, but there might be people for whom they're like, well, let's try this first, right? Let's try no contact first. Even tell you what the problem is several times before I even set up rules, set up boundaries, before I do any of these things, before I go to therapy. Let's try this first. But that's not how Black women do it.
Right.
We don't have that. We just don't do that.
Right.
And so this conversation and this idea, it's not like a trend. It's not but it is more common than most of us know.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of my girlfriends, right? It's a common thing. It's just not a loosely done, easily done step.
That's right.
And so that's why we take it like I want to say we take it seriously, or we treat it with the seriousness that it deserves,
Mm-hmm.
instead of just, try this.
Right. Nobody, but especially Black women, are not just cutting their mothers off because they had a fight and it's a spat. That's not realistic.
No.
You're not being a bad daughter. If your parent is a habitual abuser, you are giving them a compliment by breaking that cycle, by going no contact, because the part of them that lives on in you, their inner child that lives in you, you're introducing her to freedom. When you go to protect your peace, when you have that healed, regulated nervous system, you're not just giving it to yourself, not just to your inner child, but also to her, and also to the Black women who sacrificed that opportunity for you, whether they had choice in that or not. You are taking that freedom, that territory for your entire bloodline, which is why we talk about breaking the generational curse, the cycle, the trauma. So I affirm you, and it is okay to go no contact with your abuser, even if she happens to be your mother.
Thank you, Dani. Tori says, this was an excellent idea. Thank you for this discussion. Must continue it. Good news. Dani has a YouTube channel. Okay. I'm so glad you want to continue the conversation, Tori. Now, Dani's channel is where you want to make sure that you're subscribed. She's Dani Wet No Contact on YouTube, on Instagram. This is the link to Dani's YouTube channel. Doop and boop. Okay. And the link to Dani's Instagram. And these are also already in the description of this video. So if you're watching the replay, hello, friends in the future, all the links are already there. Okay. What happens when you hear more people talking is that you feel less alone in the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's super important. So this is Dani's channel, is a place where you can go and know that you're not alone, and also hear other people's experiences and hear what Dani's life is like on the other side. And I would recommend, Dani, that you make a full video and talk about the Oprah video if you want to.
Yeah.
Right. Make a full video and talk about your thoughts on it if you want to, if you have the ability to do that sometime in the next week.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I was like, I don't like the way this is going.
Yeah, that was some matrix programming for sure.
Was it? Yeah, most of the time I was like, I don't know about this.
Mm-hmm.
But I appreciate Nedra Tawwab and her perspective, and the other woman therapist whose name I don't recall.
Mm-hmm.
I did appreciate their perspective on this. And so I'm glad that they were there and not someone else who could have really made the conversation even more one-sided than it felt like it was.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Audubey says this talk was sacred medicine. Greatly appreciated.
It is my pleasure. Over the last few months, I have been working with more clients, with more Black women. And this is definitely a life-giving process where this is a healing journey. We're practicing healing. So it is medicine. This is not to hurt you. This is not to shame anybody. This is not to call anybody out for bad behavior. We're simply evolving to be better. And so I realize it's difficult, right? It's definitely not easy. There's so much heaviness, a lot of shadow that we have to face to get through this. But because you do the work, there's another who won't have to go through it, right? You contribute to making the world a healthier, more emotionally sensitive place that's safer to be. And I certainly invite you to join me in the support group for those who are ready for that experience. If this is really moving things within you, whether you are fully no contact, you're seriously considering it, I also invite you to join me in a one-on-one mother wound discovery session. That is where we will be able to center you and your specific experience. I think working through this is something that needs to be done one-on-one, not necessarily in a group. You need someone to hold space for you as an individual so that you can go deep into your past as a person and we can surface what is repressed. So I love the work that I do. I'm honored to be able to share space with other Black women. Every single woman who invites me into her healing journey, I thank you. This is a blessing for me to be able to be here. And I just want to name, if I had not gone no contact with my abuser, we would not be having this conversation because I wouldn't be able to hold this space. I would be somewhere recovering from my most recent attack, and someone else would have to fill this space, or it would go unfilled. So the same is true for you. There are things that only you're able to do, and you cannot do them while you're a victim, while you're recovering from abuse. So we need to get your recovery underway so you can put it behind you and you can show up in the world as the blessing that you are, because we need you. So yes, go no contact with your abusers, please.
Please and thank you. All right. Dani's link is ellisoninc.com. It's in the description of this video. And so if they wanted to book a session with you, when they go to Ellison Inc., first they fill out the box, and then they'll be taken to the place to book a session with you.
That's right. And then the invite to the support group is going to be in your inbox.
All right, friends. Okay. So I got to go because listen, there's there's a Delaware meetup happening in Middletown today. Some of you RSVP'd for it, but I didn't put the information up in time. So you think it's not happening, but it is happening. There's an Exodus Summit meetup happening in Middletown today, 2 p.m. Eastern time. If you're in the Exodus Summit community, you'll see the link under the events section, exodussummit.com/community. If you're not yet in the community, and you want to make sure you come to today's meetup, there are a couple meetups happening around. You want to make sure you come. Join us at exodussummit.com/community. We've left Facebook. There's another space. It's a one-time, $1 community, $1 one time. And there's a meetup happening. So I got to go get 1% more cuter for the meetup. And then someone extroverted. Dani is in Washington State right now. She lives in Phoenix for now, but she may be somewhere else. If you see her in your town, house sitting or whatever, grab her up. Okay, grab her up. And so that she doesn't have to do the work. Let the hermit be the hermit, but let the extrovert be the extrovert. Okay. And St. Louis had a meetup just yesterday. Forgot to take a picture. Can you draw it for us, Roshni? Can you use your mind's eye to recreate that and then share that in the community? Thank you. Okay. All right. Thank you so much, friends. Have a wonderful day. And Merry Christmas. I won't see you until after Christmas. Have a wonderful day and Merry Christmas. Thank you for joining in. Thank you, as always, for being so wonderful to us and to each other during this conversation. And there was a super chat from Danielle. I'll send that over to you, Dani. Super chat from Danielle. Danielle bought you lunch.
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle, for the super chat. Thank you kindly. Hang on for 1 second, Dani. Okay. See you guys.